The day of South Korea's annual college entrance exam. It's known as the Suneung. It's finally here. Nearly 510,000 test takers are set to take the make or break exam. Their performance will determine which university they can enter next year.
Now, this year marks the second time test takers would take the exams amid the COVID-19 pandemic. For more on this, we have Shin Ye-eun live at one of the test centers. Ye-eun, how's the atmosphere there now?
Well, Mok-yeon, it's not too different from last year when we had Suneung amid the pandemic. We arrived at Seoul High School at around 6:30 a.m. and this is when test takers could enter the premises. And I've noticed the atmosphere is definitely different compared to the pandemic, how it was before the pandemic. I mean, if it weren't for COVID-19, we'd be seeing juniors cheering for their seniors and parents praying outside the gates. This year, most parents dropped their kids off with their cars. One thing that didn't change even with the pandemic was the earnest hope parents and friends had for test takers. I talked to a mother of a high school senior and a friend who came to cheer her friend on.
He's worked so hard for this moment, so I hope he's not too anxious and doesn't make any mistakes. I just hope he can finish the exam well.
Don't be nervous. Just try your best as usual.
Now, Ye-eun, authorities want this year's Suneung to go as smoothly and safely as possible. Regardless, some students were always going to have the virus at this time. Do we have a number on how many students actually have COVID-19 right now?
Yes, up until Tuesday, the Ministry of Education confirmed 68 test takers currently have the virus, and that's higher than last year's number. In 2020, the corresponding number was 35, and the number of those in quarantine this year is also 105. However, these figures may have risen because public health facilities ran COVID-19 tests up till 10 p.m. on Wednesday. But authorities have a backup plan. They have set aside separate test sites, hospitals, and residential treatment centers for any students who need them. They have prepared 463 hospital beds nationwide and 112 test centers for those in quarantine, which can take up to 3,099 test takers if needed.
Now, Ye-eun, apart from securing separate test centers and hospital beds for students, what are some of the other precautionary measures?
Well, for starters, the maximum capacity for each classroom has been reduced to 24 people. Test takers must also wear masks at all times. While students are permitted to wear ordinary disposable masks, they are advised to wear government-certified medical masks such as KF94, KF80, or KFAD. One difference from last year is that there will be no partitions between each student's desk. Test takers will only be asked to install paper dividers on their desks for lunch. And authorities explain this is because most have been fully vaccinated.
Now, I've been doing these kind of reports on the Suneung test for many years now, and normally we can't even hear the reporter over the screams and shouts of the students behind the reporter. But it's a big difference this time because there aren't many students behind you, as I can see. Have they all gone in already or something? Because the test is set to start very soon, correct?
Right, you're very right. Students have actually gone in for the most part, and because the test will start very shortly at 8:40 a.m. local time, so we have just over half an hour, and many will wrap up before 5 p.m. But for those taking a secondary language test, it will go longer. And this is a national exam, meaning the country is rooting for these test takers and showing its support. Aircraft takeoff and landing will be limited for 35 minutes during the listening test in the afternoon. We're expecting most banks to open 1 hour later at 10 a.m., a gesture to ease any traffic for students heading to test centers. And that's all I have, but I'd like to end off by saying best of luck to all the test takers nationwide. Good luck to you all.